Krishna.
Hare Krishna. If you only knew what was happening just 1 minute before we started rolling. So we like to keep you all on edge. You can guess if you like, but you'll never guess. Okay, so we are here at our little homestead. It is, let me see, for you Yanks, or sorry, for you Brits,
I checked, it was -11.
-11.
British weather-wise.
British weather. And here it is...
I don't know, because I don't go by the here.
Here it's like 16, 17, something like that.
Anyway, it's -11, those who...
Anyway, it's cold, so we don't go outside,
cold.
even to walk from the Bhakti Center to here. Right now it is 22 degrees Fahrenheit. So, anyway, we're indoors, as they say, and we are reading from the Bhagavatam.
It's Canto 4, Chapter 23, Text 11.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Text 11. By regularly discharging devotional service, Prithu Maharaj became transcendental in mind and could therefore constantly think of the lotus feet of the Lord. Because of this, he became completely detached and attained perfect knowledge by which he could transcend all doubt. Thus he was freed from the clutches of false ego and the material conception of life. Purport. In the Narada Pancharatra, devotional service to the Lord is likened unto a queen. When a queen gives an audience, many maidservants follow her. The maidservants of devotional service are material opulence, liberation, and mystic powers. The karmis are very much attached to material opulence, enjoyment. The jnanis are very much anxious to become freed from material clutches, and the yogis are very fond of attaining the 8 kinds of mystic perfection. From the Narada Pancharatra, we understand that if one attains the stage of pure devotional service, he also attains all the opulences derived from fruitive activities, empiric philosophical speculation, and mystic yogic practice. Srila Bilva Mangal Thakur therefore prayed in his Krishna Karnamrita, My dear Lord, if I have unflinching devotion to you, you become manifest before me personally, and the results of fruitive activity and empiric philosophical speculation, namely religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation, become like personal attendants and remain standing before me as if awaiting my order. The idea here is that the jnanis, by culture of Brahma Vidya, spiritual knowledge, struggle very hard to get out of the clutches of material nature. But a devotee, by dint of his advancement in devotional service, automatically becomes detached from his material body. When the devotee's spiritual body begins to manifest, he actually enters into his activities in transcendental life. It's interesting, when I was reading that, what I was thinking was that, and you come across, it's nothing new, devotees do this all the time as they come on the path, is to become averse, and to become averse to the material body, and to almost, neglect it. And if you're, oh no, I can't cut my hair, oh no, I can't, go to the gym or whatever, it's like, why are you doing that? It's just the material body. But it's interesting that it's a process, it's not something that, like what Maharaj Prithu is doing, is taking instructions and he's becoming detached, but through a process. And so you can't falsely act in that way of, no, I'm not my body anyway, I don't care about it, I don't eat, or I don't have a shower, whatever. It's like, it's just interesting, because it's all about Yes, I don't know, that just came to my mind, especially I guess the end bit, becoming detached from material body, advancing. Yeah, but you are a spirit soul in the material body, and until we get to that stage where, the spiritual body is starting to manifest, or we ourselves are genuinely advancing, you gotta keep that material vehicle like, in good shape, like you would your car, when you get an MOT or this, and also like, it's very off-putting if someone looks horrible, like, not, I don't mean looks horrible, like they're not put together, so I'm not this way, I wear funny socks, I wear do this, like Prabhupada says, you're ambassadors, you're representing the spiritual master or the Supreme Lord, and so, it is a process, and it isn't something to be imitated. That's the point I'm trying to make anyway.
So if you feel like that point was made and you got it, you can win the comment section.
I'll give an example. Right back in the day, I was first coming to the temple, one senior god sister from London, she went for the first time to Chowpatty temple, where Guru Maharaj is based, and then when she came back, she was like, whoa, and I was like, what's that? And then she's like,
excuse me,
she was mingling with senior god sisters who you'd only heard of by name and that, and it was like they took care of her, like it was quite an eye-opening trip, because they took care of her and this, and then she was like, and then one time we went to the, I don't know what you call it, because it shows how little I do these things, but like a beauty parlor or whatever, oh yeah, we got our eyebrows done, and then this one got the other, whatever stuff done, and it was like, and it was such a eye-opening thing for her and us and me, and that, because it was like, what do you mean they were doing like that, like bodily stuff, and they kept themselves together and presented well, and like whatever you needed to do, and you just look like Quasimodos, whatever, and from that point on, she also would maintain herself, and does very nicely maintain herself, just for, it's like, I'm this body, and I'm not going to just neglect it and falsely, why would I do that, why would I do this basic bodily things, I remember that many years ago, and it was such a thing, and she came, especially because she went to that place, that temple where our guru is, and senior who had only heard of, and they were like, we're just going here today, and took her. She was like, what, you do like that, you do your eyebrows, you do this? There's such a thing. But she ain't in any way less advanced, and her whole family subsequently is initiated and will regularly serve the deities, and
I never ceases to amaze me how just even one paragraph of Srila Prabhupada's books, different persons will get different things from it, and be benefited. It will spark something in everyone, and if we read it again, a different thing will come out. So it's really powerful, because that's like a really important and powerful point, but I have no idea where you got that from in here, except, like you said, that one line, that become detached from the material body.
Well, automatically become detached.
Yeah.
My point, I took it as naturally detached from the body.
Yeah. So, for me, there were two really powerful primary points in here. Not that yours is maha-primary, mine is just primary. Right. But the first one is the analogy of devotional service having maidservants, and those maidservants being material opulence, liberation, and mystic powers. And the interesting thing is like how it's painted, and also mentioning Bilvamangala Thakur, but that these things also automatically come. That's the idea of becoming detached from the material body, that we become liberated from the material body. So it is automatic, but automatic doesn't necessarily mean that automatic doesn't have like a time scale attached to it. And also the point is material opulence, liberation, and mystic cities or mystic powers are not the goal of someone practicing bhakti. But just as the goal of the queen may not be to have all of these personalities who come along with her, they just come. It's a natural thing. So that was the first point. Then the second point was what you mentioned about automatically become detached from the material body. But the context with which Prabhupada was saying that was he was referring to the fact that it seems Prithu Maharaj here was entering into his spiritual body. He was acquiring his Siddha Swarup. And that's something that is often Srila Prabhupada will say that we're going home back to Godhead. And we understand also that one will attain there our eternal position in connection with Krishna. But here Prabhupada is saying when the devotee's spiritual body begins to manifest, he actually enters into his activities in transcendental life. And the point that's being made here, which for me I think is really, really important, is that the more that we perform and practice devotional service in this life, the more that it becomes natural, because it is natural. It's not that we're learning something, it's that we're resurrecting something, we're reviving something that's dormant within us. And then what starts to happen is we naturally begin to be, I guess, bridging between two worlds. We have one foot in the material world and we have one foot in the spiritual world, and we start to be acting more on the platform of our spiritual world activities. Anyway, it's quite deep and quite not complex, but yeah, quite a deep subject matter, and not something that's going to come necessarily easy. Although there was that famous book, I think it was called "Simple for the Simple," about one senior devotee's wife, Rati Manjari, I think was her name also, and how at the end of her life she was just like, she was a devotee, a Prabhupada disciple, 30 years plus, and then at the end of her life, she was like, did admin service and pujari service, and just she did quote unquote simple service. She wasn't like a guru, GBC, sannyasi or whatever. And at the end of her life, she was on her deathbed, and she would go in and out of consciousness. And when she would come back to consciousness, she would say, "Oh, I was just with Mother Yashoda, and we were preparing Krishna's lunchbox." And everyone was like, "Okay, is she tripping or what?" And she started to share little intimate things, and it was like she was moving between these two worlds. Anyway, it's kind of a big topic, but. Okay, next paragraph. At present, we have contacted a material body, material mind, and material intelligence. But when we become free from these material conditions, our spiritual body, spiritual mind, and spiritual intelligence become manifest. In that transcendental state, a devotee attains all the benefits of karma, gyan, and yoga. Although he never engages in fruitive activities or empiric speculation to attain mystic powers, automatically mystic powers appear in his service. A devotee does not want any kind of material opulence, but such opulence appears before him automatically. He does not have to endeavor for it. Because of his devotional service, he automatically becomes Brahma Bhuta. As stated before, and we spoke about Brahma Bhuta. If you don't remember, watch the previous video. As stated before, this is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 14:26. Mam cha yo vyavacharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who is engaged in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. So just real quick on this, again, Prabhupada says that when we start to, at present we've contacted material body, has material he says material body, material mind, and material intelligence. The more we perform devotional service, the more our body becomes spiritualized, the more our mind becomes spiritualized, and our intelligence. So like that. Hare Krishna.
Next paragraph. Because of his regular discharge of devotional service, the devotee attains the transcendental stage of life. Since his mind is transcendentally situated, he cannot think of anything but the lotus feet of the Lord. This is the meaning of the word smarana anupurtya.
Beautiful. That was awesome. Not to be condescending or patronizing, it was good.
By constantly thinking of the lotus feet of the Lord, the devotee immediately becomes situated in Shuddha Sattva. Shuddha Sattva refers to that platform which is above the modes of material nature, including the mode of goodness. In the material world, the mode of goodness is considered to be representative of the highest perfection. But one has to transcend this mode and come to the stage of Shuddha Sattva, of pure goodness, where the three qualities of material nature cannot act. So yeah, we have to strive. It says in the Bhagavad Gita, you can get proud when you are in the mode of goodness, which is interesting, isn't it? That's like the highest mode, and yet it brings on that. It's like a trapping almost. And it's also interesting, or like nice reminder that actually you're not supposed to stay there anyway. And you're supposed to actually purify yourself, which I guess is purifying yourself of that pride, so that you can go to pure goodness.
Yeah, it's interesting this comes up, and I'm doing a online course with Mahatma Prabhu on self-care. I'm just going through it for the second time. And he at the beginning he really talks a lot about how important it is to get into the mode of goodness, because if we're living in the mode of ignorance, that's going to be detrimental for our well-being, like our physical, mental, emotional, and ultimately spiritual well-being. And if we're living in the mode of passion, so to come to the mode of goodness, and Srila Prabhupada would say again and again that the mode of goodness is a platform, or he used a different word, what was it called, like springboard or launch pad. No, I think he said springboard, he didn't use launch pad. But it's like a platform from which we can transcend and come to Shuddha Sattva. But Shuddha Sattva being the goal. Last paragraph, and it's quite a lengthy one. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives the following example. If one has strong digestive power, after eating he automatically lights a fire within his stomach to digest everything and does not need to take medicine to aid his digestion. Similarly, the fire of devotional service is so strong that a devotee does not need to act separately to attain perfect knowledge or detachment from material attractions. A jnani may become detached from material attractions by prolonged discussions on subjects of knowledge and may in this way finally come to the Brahmabhuta stage, but a devotee does not have to undergo so much trouble. By virtue of his devotional service, he attains the Brahmabhuta stage without a doubt. The yogis and jnanis are always doubtful about their constitutional position. Therefore, they mistakenly think of becoming one with the Supreme. However, a devotee's relationship with the Supreme becomes manifest beyond all doubt, and he immediately understands that his position is that of eternal servant of the Lord. Jnanis and yogis without devotion may think themselves liberated, but actually their intelligence is not as pure as that of a devotee. In other words, the jnanis and the yogis cannot become factually liberated unless they become elevated to the position of devotees. Aruya krishrainam param param tata patant yado nadrita yushmad angrayaha. That's Bhagavatam 10.2.32. And would you like to finish reading?
Okay.
All right. Just a quick comment, again going back to the Brahma Buddha stage, and I really like this. You know, if we have strong digestive power, then we can digest food. We don't need an aid. And if we have strong bhakti, strong devotional service, then we can, you know, naturally, we don't need to act separately. Things will automatically come. We just need to trust in the process and keep doing it, which is not easy.
Yeah, that's another topic. The Jnanis and Yogis may rise to the highest position, Brahman realization, but because of their lack of devotion unto the lotus feet of the Lord, they again fall down into material nature. Therefore, Jnana and Yoga should not be accepted as the real processes for liberation. By discharging devotional service, Maharaj Prithu automatically transcended all these positions. Since Maharaj Prithu was a Shakti incarnation of the Supreme Lord, he did not have to act in any way to attain liberation. He came from the Vaikuntha world, or spiritual sky, in order to execute the will of the Supreme Lord on earth. Consequently, he was to return home, back to Godhead, without having to execute Jnana, Yoga, or Karma. Although Prithu Maharaj was eternally a pure devotee of the Lord, he nonetheless adopted the process of devotional service in order to teach the people in general the proper process for executing the duties of life and ultimately returning home back to Godhead. I was just thinking of Prabhupada when I read that. Also being sent here by the Lord, and the image that was coming in my mind was how he left this world on display for everyone to see forever. You know, in one sense, you could, you know, I guess you don't want to be alone when you die, fair enough, but, you know, he was being filmed and this and that, and he was lying on the bed and he was all like just skin and bones. Yeah, and he was just speaking the Bhagavatam. He was just speaking, and he could have said anything, really, you know, like, don't let so-and-so near me, or take over this, or do that, or whatever. But right to his last breath, even though for sure he didn't need to do anything, and Krishna would have just walked him back home anyway, he gave that example, like the perfect example, really, you know?
He set the perfect example.
And really just fixed on that. Serving and remembering, and that's what I was remembering anyway when I was reading this, that he came from the spiritual sky. It says here, as Prithu Maharaj, you know, in order to execute the will of the Supreme Lord on earth. That's Prabhupada.
Jai. Nitya Siddha. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. All of the assembled viewers ki Jai. We're very grateful to all of you. Thank you so much for your encouragement and keeping us going. I was just realizing, wow, we're coming up into the 5th year of reading. Well, I guess we'll be completing the 5th year, actually, in May, right? Or that will be the end of completion of 4 years. We started in 2021, 22, 23, 24, 25, yeah. We'll be completing 5 years of reading and sharing online, and it's just nice. We like doing it, but it's nice that if you all are feeling benefited. So please remember to like,
comment,
subscribe,
share.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.